As what would be expected since Pokemon's TV series release in the United States, movies were on their way too. Following the same structure as the other entries, after Season 3 came to a close, the third theatrical film was released as well. And if the prediction was the story would revolve around a powerful new Pokemon, then the formula is beginning to become familiar. Thankfully, the story displayed in this entry is a lot more believable considering the realm this show has created for itself. It's known by now that the adaptation of the Japan dub hasn't been very well done for the past entries. Thankfully, the story here is more on par with the first film as opposed to the second one. However, to say it's going to win over any new people is a doubtful claim. The story this time is about a friend of Ash Ketchum named Molly, played by Amy Birnbaum, whose widower father, Professor Spencer Hale, voiced by Dan Green, is researching legendary Pokemon called Unknown. Unfortunately, after getting trapped in the Unknown's dimension, orphan Molly captures the attention of the Unknown as well, making her dreams real and bringing forth Entei as her protector. Of course, it just so happens Ash and company are headed towards Molly's location by chance. Directing this feature was nobody else but Kunihiko Yuyama, who also worked on the first two films for Japan. No English adapting director this time. The writing was also handled again by Takeshi Shudo, Hideki Tsunada, and Mark M. uncredited. While the setup is essentially doing what it always does, the plot here at least feels like it fits into the series. Unlike Pokemon 2000, which alluded to Ash Ketchum being the so-called Chosen One, what also makes this entry more interesting to watch is the antagonist Ash and company square off on. Here, Entei is seen as a villain to Ash and company at first, but that's only because of the circumstances experienced and feelings Molly exudes when her father disappears. That is much more understandable than just some random rich boy hanging out in a floating fortress collecting rare Pokemon for some unexplained reason other than throwing the world into chaos. At least it's explained and makes logical sense to a degree. On top of that, the stakes are a little higher too because of Molly's relation to Ash's family, including his mom and Professor Oak. There are some who would probably think this entry is more annoying though because of the focus being placed on a whiny little girl. Again, the character has more to it than the last one, so there's that. Of course, this does not make up for development of the protagonists. Ash Ketchum, Misty, Brock, and even Team Rocket are more or less in the same passenger seat as the audience. None of them really learn anything new that changes them. This is okay to a fan of the franchise, but as its own entry, it doesn't really work. Adding to that are more shoehorned characters like Lisa, a trainer, Ash has a battle with at the start of the film. Her contribution could have been handed off to any character to perform. So really, her role is about as important as Marin or Melody from the last film. Also, some plot conveniences appear throughout the film which may have the viewer scratching their head. Like, how can one character find a missing person in an ever-changing labyrinth so easily? This doesn't take away from the voice acting though. Like the last two films, the English dub cast all perform like they usually do, and that's to their credit. Consistency is met there. The only new addition to the cast is Dan Green, who most people can recognize instantly. His performance is also on point with everyone else. Cinematography again was handled by Hisao Shirai, as there must be a reason behind it, but it's not clear. There's also Hisashi Kagawa serving as chief animation director, and it shows, as now this film contains much more CGI, with unknowns being involved. While the action may not be as abundant as the last film, the movement still looks great. Lastly, again, Ralph Schuckett disappoints because no score was released and the music itself works for the scenes, but isn't memorable. It's amazing how well his and Loeffler's work from the first film sticks, but everything else since then has not. Fans of this series should find this entry more interesting to watch than the last movie. Development of the main characters, plot conveniences, and music still may not be at its best. However, the animation and voice acting are still great, and the foe the heroes battle against is not just a simple one-note individual.